Hello, I'm Cherylmhealthmuse, and I'm otherwise known as Cherylmhealthmuse. And what my goal is to inspire you to lead a healthier life. So when I proposed my podcast, I proposed that we present it in two different segments. The first one is It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future-Proof Your Health, where I get to share everything I have learned to return my health back to relative wellness and to live a pain-free life in spite of the fact that I have autoimmune disease. But the second part of my podcast is this episode, and that's Tell Me Your Story, the Health Muse is in. My concept with this is it's all fine and well that you hear me tell my story, but I get a lot of, it's all fine and well that it worked for you, but it's not going to work for me. And I wanted you to hear that there are lots of people out there that have made changes in their lifestyle that have supported their health and brought them back to relative wellness. We all have a couple things in common. We all owned our own health. Whatever the doctor was suggesting we did was going on a parallel path to us making these lifestyle changes where we did things that cleaned up our toxic load. We all pay attention to our body. You'll hear jazz in the background because I want you to listen to the rhythm of your health, and I want you to pay attention to what your body is telling you. My body had been trying to tell me that I was going to topple over into toxic load for some time. I just wasn't listening. So if you clean up your lifestyle and if you listen to your body, you have a very good chance not of being deprived in any way, but returning to feeling darn good. And that's what these podcasts are really all about. So thank you for joining me. This is going to be a Tell Me Your Story, the Health Muse is in episode, and I hope you enjoy it. And I hope that we all inspire you to lead a healthier, happier life. Thank you. Welcome to another edition of Tell Me Your Story. My guest today is a very, very special woman named and I'm probably going to mispronounce it because I never heard your name spoken. Tamara?
Yes, Tamara. Yeah.
Tamara Hunter. And Tamara is a cancer survivor who then formed a worldwide organization called Chemo Buddies, where there's a community that supports other people who have cancer. And I've watched her, I was a guest on her show maybe 3 years ago, and I have watched this organization blossom and help thousands of people. And so I am so excited to have Tamara here today to share her story, first of how she ended up with cancer, what she did to be a cancer survivor, and then why her mission became helping others find people who could support them going through the same process. So tell us your story, Tamara.
Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it so very much. And I appreciate everything you do. You know, the research and the education. And I've learned so much from you and continue to learn so much. And so, you know, I treasure that knowledge and treasure the fact that you share it so willingly and so openly with so many that need it, like my community. And my story is such that many will understand, because basically in this world there's not many that haven't been touched by that I want to say 6-letter word, cancer. And in fact, when I go up on a stage, I ask 2 questions, and by that time, at the beginning of my speech, every time I have a standing ovation. Well, they may not be clapping because they just acknowledge the fact that they may know someone, they may have heard, they may know someone that's heard, or they know someone that knows someone that has heard that someone has had cancer. And the room is all standing, and I'm sure anybody that is listening to this, watching this, however it is that you're absorbing this information right now, you're probably saying, yeah, I'm one of those too. You know, I can raise my hand. I can stand to that. And I have heard those words, and I've heard them basically all of my adult life. It started in my early teens. For the first person in my life was actually my brother. And I only have one full brother, and he was diagnosed with a cancer that can be pretty, you know, it can be very threatening. However, he made it through it. And then the hero in my life, my grandfather, was the next. And that really took me back because he didn't make it. I was pregnant with my first child, and so that left an impression upon me. And then from there, through that one line, my grandfather's line, my grandfather, my mother, my brother and I, both of us, and then my daughter, all 5 of us through one line, 4 generations, have heard those words. And what has driven me to where I am today is that by the time I heard my diagnosis, truthfully, you know, I had been there and done that, and I had already heard those words for my daughter. She was 19 years old, and that's the last thing you want as a parent, is to hear that your child, no matter what age, has cancer. And thank goodness she is a survivor, doing well, doing extremely well, and yet has to be vigilant, just like all of us should be. I mean, we all should be learning from Cheryl, and she has been making really good choices. I'm so proud of her. And now she is a mother. I'm a nana. I love it. And what happened was, when my diagnosis took place, all of our cancers were different. All 5 of us. All of us were different. Not one in common. Mine was breast cancer. You'd say one of the most vanilla, if you will, of them all now. And that's because there's been a lot of awareness, like what you're doing, Cheryl. When you have awareness, it becomes, we hope, vanilla. Like, okay, yeah, you think of the pink ribbon. Well, at one time, it wasn't the pink ribbon. At one time, people didn't even say that because it was an area of the body that they didn't want to recognize, because it was a whole different generation. Now, not a big deal, right? Well, I find out I have it. Long and short, I had not been staying up on mammograms. In fact, I didn't ever have one until I had one, and then I found out I had cancer. So I didn't know what stage I was. And I was like, okay, whatever it may be is whatever it may be. I was okay. And I handle things with humor, so let's just say that there were a lot of laughs involved. No crying at that time. A lot of laughter. That was how I processed it. The very first day of treatment, because I decided to go with a standard treatment, was what changed my life and what put me on the road to where I am now. And that was that I had an allergic reaction.
Oh, God.
A toxic allergic reaction to the medicine that was meant to save me. And I was asleep. They had given me a bunch of Benadryl because they knew I was very sensitive to stuff. So we had done the pre-work and talked it through, and I was sound asleep in a ball, and my driver was out sleeping in the car. So I didn't have my person next to me. Thank goodness someone in a very small room, of which we had 2 nurses watching us, someone across the way saw that I was turning extremely red and asleep. So came over to see if I was okay. And I hear, though I'm not able to open up and process, because I couldn't open my eyes by then, "Are you okay?" And I realized, as I'm hearing this through what felt like a fog, that I was not. My face was on fire. I couldn't open my eyes. Apparently they were very swollen shut. And my throat was starting to close. I was having a severe allergic reaction. In fact,
you were going anaphylactic.
Yeah, to this date, my clinic, I'm the story. I'm the cocktail story, you know. Oh yeah, we had one of those, and that would be me. But what happened was the person that saw me was my original buddy's daughter, and from there we ended up traveling our road for a year and a half, and our doctors and nurses set us up. They did, because they noticed that we really were good for each other, and the frequency would change when we would come into the room. And they would notice that others were doing better when we were together. So then a year and a half later, after this had happened, they kept trying to get us to do something. I'm thinking, yeah, right. I don't think so. I had my own businesses. I was semi-retired, spending time with kids and grandkids for the very first time in my life. I really wasn't after going, to change the world. That wasn't what my indication in my life at that time was, until I started doing the study like you, Cheryl, where I realized, oh my goodness, there's a reason that they kept saying they wanted to bottle us. They wanted us to be able to experience, others to experience what we had. And that was because they couldn't provide it because of HIPAA laws and standard of care and all of these different things. And it had to come from the patient side, and there was nothing like this out there. And someone had to do it. And it was after we had a huge graduation party. It wasn't just a party, it became a legend. We had big, huge pink wigs. We had coconut bras on the chemo poles. We got the nurses in on it, and we had Beach Boys playing, and we said, just stack the room however you wanted, because we both were slow drips because of the issues of having allergic reactions. We were there all day. And this was our very, very last time, and we have a big, huge luau. And made it fun, made it really, really, really fun. And a half a year after that, one of my nurses said, have you ever figured it out that you need to do something here? Let me tell you a story. One of the people that we stacked to come to the graduation luau was not the sickest one in the room. She just died. And she died. The only time we ever saw her smile was on that day. Other than that, she had no desire to live. Her situation, we don't know what it was, but it was basically made me to think the fact that she didn't have the support of a support system. She didn't have a buddy. She didn't have a buddy's community. She didn't even have a buddy within herself. And that was when I knew that, okay, all in. And since then, it's been an all-in thing, and originally I call myself a co-founder out of giving my original buddy credit for being the original buddy, but she didn't, quite honestly, she didn't have the health, general health that I went into cancer with. I went in with much more, because I had been relatively, the other story, but most of my life I had really done a lot to have general health. And so I faced cancer in a much better situation than many others did.
Which makes a huge difference. Yeah.
It does. It absolutely does, because it's like night and day, the experiences that she and I had. We were there to support each other, but we had to go a year and a half because of the fact that she didn't have good general health. I only had to go for a year, but I continued another half a year because I wasn't going to go without her, and I wasn't going to let her be there alone. And so now we have an organization that spans the globe. We are in a number of countries. We have so many amazing stories now, and we're only just beginning. I know that we really are a movement that is going to be so, it will be one of those things like Frank Shankwitz, the founder of Make-A-Wish. You don't think of Frank's name, you think of Make-A-Wish, right?
Right.
At some point in time, you'll never think of Tamara Hunter. You're going to think of, okay, you're looking at this. Do you have your buddy yet? You need a buddy. Become a buddy. And the thing about us is that we support, as you know, Cheryl, we support both the patient and those people that love and support them. They
Right.
need that support too. And it doesn't matter what type of treatment. Our treatment was traditional, but it doesn't matter. That's why we're unique. We don't raise funds for any kind of treatment plans. We're not helping to change the world when it comes to looking for the next greatest solution. No, we have found the greatest solution, and that is ourselves. And joining together, like you talk about in the blue zones. What is
Right.
it that's found? Community is number one. Absolutely.
I know. And people look at me sometimes like I landed from Mars when I said that. But if you have a community that loves and supports you, you can get through almost anything.
Absolutely. In fact, we wash everything through a few words, actually 5 now, and that's humor, hope, heart. Those were the original 3, and then we added hugs and a whole lot of love, you know? And we declared 2020 to be the year of love within our organization. And then we, with everything that's going on, in truth, we said, no, we're going to now go, it is the decade of love.
That's fantastic. And we haven't talked about it, but Tamara actually won a huge contest and is the biggest impactor, which brought you funding to continue your project, right?
Well, yeah, it didn't bring any funds. What it brought was coaching and like a global article. It brought the fact that I have the title of the very first global impactor or next impactor. It brought a lot of awareness to then be able to say, okay, if you're going to bet on anyone, if you will, with any kind of funding that is going to be able to actually truly make an impact in the world, it will be Tamara Hunter and her cause. And so we still are without the big funding that we're looking for at some point, but do we have the coaches to help make that happen? Absolutely. Do we have infrastructure now that we didn't have before that? Now we do. And it has brought amazing volunteers that have helped to build a monster of a beta site that we, in fact, tonight we're going to be working on it. Here soon, we're going to be able to start saying we've got the first steps of an actual huge monster website now. We're going to be able to graduate it from a beta site, which is a big, big deal.
Oh, that's huge.
It is huge, especially when it is as robust as what this is, because that's what we've got to have it be. And so, you know, my feeling with all of it is that it was in its correct time that the win came, because had funding come, it would have made it much easier, yes, but would it be the organic the organic growth that all healthy things need to have happen? I don't know.
And probably not, because when things grow organically, they really grow better. Yes. Because lots of people are participating in what it needs to look like.
Exactly. And what I'm hearing and truly all of the things, you know, like putting the intention out there. If we need someone, we verbalize it, we put the intention out, we get really clear on what we need, that person shows. And they'll say something like, you know, I feel like I'm supposed to be here. Yeah. Welcome. We need you. Perfect timing, you know, and that continues now to happen. And it is truly believing in what many would call woo-woo, which I don't, because it is scientifically proven that, you know, things like being isolated and alone, seeking treatment out of the UK, 2017, there is a medical journal study saying that your percentage of living is long and longer than 5 years is going to be diminished if you are not socialized. We call it being with a buddy, being a part of the community. And there, you know, you can just science project, science paper, journal article, science, you know, discoveries. It is now an awareness of, truthfully, that everything we talk about is scientifically substantiated, just like with you, just everything that you're talking about.
I also find that I've always loved a quote that was attributed to Goethe. Ends up he didn't say it. Somebody else said it, but it got attributed to him. But it's about when you commit 100% that you want to do something, then it's funny because the universe moves to make it happen. Absolutely. I used to have that up on my refrigerator back in my management days, because if you have the mindset that you can do anything, the universe helps you.
Oh, yes. And let me just tell you this. We are running a hybrid nonprofit. It is being ran primarily through the internet. Thank goodness that the timing was such, because we were able to be there when COVID shut down everything. If we had done it the traditional way, it would have been a real problem for us. No, we were already in place. However, what is funny is, Cheryl, I thought you had to buy a hashtag to use a hashtag. I thought you had to actually invest in a hashtag. Like,
I know, it's funny how much of this stuff I don't know, and I'm sort of just learning haphazardly. But when I need to know it, it appears.
Exactly, and that's what I'm sharing with you is so absolutely true, because there is absolutely, the universe was working in alignment with this, because there is absolutely, you know, to every single cell, every single little fiber within me, there's not 1 ounce of a doubt that this is global. There's not 1 ounce of a doubt that if someone needs us, they will have that ability to have their own buddy. The only question I have is when will it be there? But is there a doubt? You know, I know 100% when I could just, you know, whatever number, infinite number, there's no, you know, many people will say it already is, you know, it already is. However you think, whatever your thought process is, however you verbalize, the bottom line is that it's a program that's always been needed.
Oh,
now.
And people who get cancer are terrified.
Yeah.
And they don't want to tell anyone they're terrified.
No, but
in the beginning.
Right.
Then they sort of figure out they're going to have to tell somebody they're terrified, which is the beauty of your organization.
Yes, it is beautiful, because you know what? Our buddies and our community are able to be real. Anybody that comes now, they feel the difference. They know how special it is. They want to stay. We have people that are guests, and they want to be a part of it, because it is so, there's just something to it that it fills up those empty places that possibly someone has, and it's not, it is meant for that. And so then people can be real. They can be real and raw and vulnerable, and say, this is how I'm feeling, and know that they're in a safe and loving place to be able to work it out with either a buddy or the community, and then like, oh, okay, I'm good.
And they probably figure out that what they're feeling is not that unusual pretty quickly.
Oh,
which
absolutely.
Makes them even feel safer.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. In fact, you know, we are a nonprofit, so there are some things that are off the table. We don't discriminate in any which way, you know, all of those things. However, we will get into some tough subjects that are not you know, that fit within our realm that may be uncomfortable for some. Others are like, oh yeah, bring it on. Yet when you have it in an environment like ours, and even if it's quote unquote a tough subject, then others are like, wow, I got through it. Wow, I'm good. Wow, I can do this. Wow, I can help others do this too. And when you have then stage 4s that are saying, okay, I'm ready to volunteer, let's get going, and are energized, and people are like, how are you showing up like this? It's like, well, because I am feeling good, and I am needed, and I am coming to serve, and I have a reason to show up in my life. And we all know when you're serving others, what happens.
Yes. Well, one of the things we didn't talk about in our pre-conversation is it's about community, and it's also about passion.
Yes.
When you've been touched with passion from somebody and you have taken on your own passion for that subject, you have a much better chance of living a long time because of that passion that's fueling you.
Absolutely.
And so your people get the passion.
Oh yeah, and they love sharing it. I mean, and they just, it's this love fest to a point where it's like, okay, yeah, I am so happy I'm here. What, you know, and some that maybe it's their second time around. It's like, where were you before? Well, okay, you're here now, and then that love and you know, they show up, and then it becomes like contagious, and it like that domino thing, you know, and people are like, what's different about you? Well, let me share with you what's different about me. And those people that are about what we're doing, they're all in about what we're doing.
Right.
You know, there's really no lukewarm. They're either, it's not their cup of tea. It's not always everybody's, because not everybody's ready for it for whatever reason. However, we do understand that, and we're not going to come like a barrel, you know, like, you know, that energy for someone that we're feeling like, okay, they need to take it at their pace, because we understand that you show up with what you show up to cancer with. You show up to us, and it may even be that you're drained of what you showed up to cancer, and now, you know, where are you at? That's okay, because what we have seen is literally, I see it, I can't even think of any other way I'd rather be living my life now, because I see miracle after miracle after miracle. I have stories after stories after stories that I get to hear because of where I am in the whole evolution of the chain, because not everybody hears those, because we are very protective of our community. We serve them, and, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm a security guard too, which I'm good
Sure.
with, you know.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
But passion is contagious.
Oh,
and so just
yes.
showing up, even if you're a very shy and inward person, it's almost impossible not to catch it and to be
yes.
part of that positive energy because of the people they're meeting in your organization.
Oh, absolutely. I have so many stories in regards to that too, that some I can tell because they allow for it. But, you know, like I've got some that we find reasons for people to serve. We will come up with positions that fit within their abilities for them to be able to feel as though they belong. And when you have passion, and then you mix in that self-love and pride that maybe for the very first time in 60 years of life they've felt for the very first time, you know, where they didn't feel valued before, and now they not only feel valued, they feel as though they must show up because they have a reason to show up. And there is a need. It's not like we make up something that we don't need.
Yeah, no, you all need each other.
Exactly. And when you see that, and then you hear the thank yous for this, and because there's no charge for them. This is a nonprofit. They have to promise to keep things, safe, and they need what takes place in this community stays in the community, and that is their requirement. Other than that, it's free. It's free. And we are doing this because, truthfully, even the leadership, their passion for this is that they tell me all the time how much they appreciate the opportunity for them to give their time and service to this community, because they are being so much more fed than they ever feel the value that they are giving.
Right.
Which, it's truly such a humbling experience to be in the role that I'm in. Does it require every single waking hour that I have? Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. However, will it always? No, I know it's not going to always. At some point in time with the growth and we are right now, in fact, I was just writing my global article 2 articles ago, talking about now we're on the second and the third tiers within the leadership, and how do you create a movement? Well, you start with one, but then it's really that second and third person that validates the movement, not the first. It's the second and third. And so the second and third tier are the important, really amazing, magical tiers that are making this whole thing work. And then the buddies themselves.
Right. Well, the buddy is brilliant, because anyone that I have known that's had cancer could have used a buddy, and they did not all have the luck of having one.
Right.
And I have buddied my friends who have gotten cancer, but I have not had cancer. I had something else, but I have not had cancer. So I think it was different. We set up safe, non-judgmental zones where they can call me and say anything, even things that are dark and depressed, they can share with me.
Right.
But it's not the same because I haven't lived it, but I can certainly be there for them. Right. But if you've lived it, the partnership is different, I think.
Yes. In fact, what we do within the database that's right now the beta site, that's becoming the website, at some point they'll be able to search themselves. Right now we've been partnering people up for the last 3 years, and the whole concept here is that the support people are not going to be able to search patients, and the patients are not going to be able to search to support people, because number one, we don't want that support person and that patient, spying on each other in the database. Maybe they're, if they're struggling as it is, we don't want that behavior to even be, something that could create a problem. It's just as much cleaner to keep it this way. And so the 2 chairs, think of a chemotherapy room, if that's your choice, whatever the chairs may be, in whatever kind of treatment room, but you have the support person and the patient person. They're always going to be 2 different chairs. They're 2 different chairs, and they're going to come from their point of view from that chair. So to have a patient, and then now that we have more people coming, more buddies coming, to have, let's say, a stage 4 colon cancer patient that's able to be a stage 4 colon cancer patient buddy, and say, okay, what is the treatment that you're going through, or this, maybe even another one, because you don't have to only just have one. You can have as many buddies as really works, and that's what community is all about too. Mm-hmm. And then the support buddies, when, you know, husband and wife situation, and let's say it's the wife that's the support person and needs to talk to another wife that's having same issues, or daughter to daughter, or whatever it may be. And when you can have people that are coming from very like experience, very similar.
Yeah, and that was the missing link in what we were doing.
Yeah, and it is absolutely freeing in so many ways. And do all personalities work together? No, they
No,
don't.
but that's expected, and I don't think anybody would expect that they do. They didn't their whole life, so.
Right. I will say this, though, the magic of this is that some of our buddies have 2 or 3 buddies, and they may have a buddy that has a similar situation going on, but then they find a buddy that's very similar in personality and you know, this and that. Oh my goodness, the relationships and the friendships and the buddyships, if you will, and how they check on each other, and the just even as wonderful as we get together in a community and you see these buddies chatting with each other, like, what about this, I told you about that, da 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 da, and you're seeing that, and it's like, oh, this is what it's all about. And you can't buy that for all the money in the world. You can't. This is something so much bigger than money. This is so much bigger than anything else besides that one letter word, love. This is truly love at its finest, that unconditional acceptance for another human being that they're there for, and
in a safe zone.
Exactly.
I've also found with friends of mine that have gotten cancer that they don't want to share how they're feeling easily with their spouses or with the other people in their lives that they love, because they don't want to worry them. And yet their spouses or their children or whoever it is, they worry so much more because they don't talk about it.
Yeah, and then you add in cultures. There's certain cultures that you just don't talk about it, or there's certain cultures now still, believe it or not, in the world that they think that they could catch it from them. And there's just, I mean, and it's true. And there's so many different dynamics in there. And that's one of the reasons also that we have it set up the way we have it set up, because then what happens is that you get past that. You get past that, okay, I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to worry them, but I am in truth having these issues. Well, if you're having these issues and that's going to eat at you, your recovery is, you know, we got to get you past that so your recovery can be at its very ultimate, you know, that it's just like all the stuff that you teach with the toxins and this and that. You got to have the mind involved too, and the heart and the soul. And
well, and health, believe it or not, is primary foods first, which is the self-care and the creativity.
Yeah.
And all that stuff is as important, if not more important,
yes,
than the things that I teach about organic and food and getting rid of all the toxins. It's all part of the same thing.
Oh, it absolutely. We call it healing through connections. And then we have subsets: healing through music, healing through art, healing through laughter, healing through this, healing through that. And we really, well, you know, you've been on our special events for Giving Tuesday,
right?
And we really do stay true to that, because healing through health and wellness choices, healing through, because we do believe in healing through, are all going to heal through to get to their next level and chapter in life. Maybe not. That is something, you know, whatever your belief system is. Again, we're a nonprofit that has, you know, we don't go there. However, we will say that we have helped many help through healing through the connection. And so then they healed through until they earned their wings. And that's what we say. And we have story after story there too. of the miracles that their families saw happen with these people that were much more peaceful, and they were ready for their next their next chapter in their evolution and what they believed was their next step. And that in itself too, because we all have the same, the same end, it's just when, and how we can do this in the very best way possible. There's no greater gift than we can give to those that we love than to help them to heal through whatever it is that they need to heal through, to then go on to whatever their next chapters are. However, do we want to keep our buddies around? We absolutely do. And I got a really great story in that we have quite a few of them that are having amazing results. And I'll say even stage 4s that are getting so many amazing tests back and results back and sharing. And, is it any accident?
No.
That's for
it's
others
not an
to say,
accident.
but I don't believe so.
Even 30 years ago, I bought a Bill Moyer tape set of how they took a group of people with cancer and took them into a retreat. And the test subjects who were there to love and support each other healed some exponentially faster rate than the people who did not have that support community.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's one of our buddies that has been quite vocal. She's been filmed a lot. And she has she's shared that she has a brain cancer stage 4. And she's been going through a variety of treatment and everything. And just recently she shared with us that this massive amount of issue that she was dealing with is the size of an acorn now. And the celebration that we shared was, unbelievable, because that's one story I can share. The things that are the possibilities, and when I say that I witness miracles daily, they can be off the chart miracles like that. They can be miracles of growth, of people that are willing now to go outside of a box that they had themselves in for 30 years, and now they've freed themselves. Whatever it may be, every day it's something different, multiple things, and yet we are experiencing them because you know what? In truth, we expect them. And
right.
There's
well, and
believe
it or not, that's part of the key.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody there expects them. And so they are.
Absolutely. And we encourage that. And then we're there for each other because we all have, it's like teeter-totter. We all have our days. I have my days. Oh my gosh. And being authentic and being authentic truth in that, okay, whatever it may be. And then to have others that are there and saying, okay, let's get it out. Let's work it through. Not like, let's mask it over or whatever it may be.
Yeah, no, because then it doesn't get fixed.
No, let's work it out. And we'll get through this. And sometimes it's a quick fix and sometimes it's a little longer. However, to be in the knowing place, not to believe, but to know that you've got so many people that have your back and that love you unconditionally and that are there standing with you, beside you, holding you up, lifting you up, whatever it may be. You can't get much better than that. It's a beautiful thing to witness. It's an incredible thing to experience. And it's, in some ways, it is so incredibly simple, yet it is not easy to obtain. Yet, you know, we won. Tamara Hunter, you know, I'm not talking in the third party. I won running on the platform of Chemo Buddies, but there's more to me than that. That's a portion of it. That's why I ran on my name. Yet the awareness that it brought, incredible. And the people that are coming, unbelievable. And the miracles that are happening, yes, we are grateful for them. And yes, we are expecting them. And yes, they are taking place.
Right.
That's the simplicity of the beauty of the belief. And then the belief, for those that have to go through the steps, it's a belief. And then once they get involved and they start seeing, then they go to the knowing, and then they go to the expecting.
Right. And once they go to the expecting is when the miracles happen.
It's amazing. And it happens. And I'm humbled and grateful for every single one of them. We don't take them for granted.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Have you ever thought about doing a compilation book?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you have stories that would not be difficult to write down.
Oh, no. In fact, I've started stories in writing, and I have quite a few. You know, it's a matter of working with the right people and getting it into the right forum and doing it for the right reasons. Because in truth, Cheryl, I want to say this very carefully. I know a lot of amazing people. I know a lot of people. And a lot of very, very amazing, wonderful, generous, good people. And sometimes processes like that may not necessarily be done in the same way of thinking that I would have, because they may see it in a different light. I come from a very nonprofit way of thinking. I come from an area of thinking that this is a gift to the world. I come from a place of knowing that I am a steward of something that is so much bigger than I am. So to work with the right people or person or group or whatever it may be that would have the same way of thinking and be able to put it out in, because would this be a bestseller, quote unquote? Absolutely. Could it be a funder for the nonprofit? Absolutely. If fairly priced, that would be big in my mind. It would be a necessity in my mind. Would there be, quote unquote, money made off of it? You know, that's where I have struggles, because, you know.
But it doesn't have to be, and you can publish it yourself.
Right. And so.
Because there will be people who would want to get involved, who would want to make the money on it, and that's not its purpose.
No. And that's where, and I do have people that are generous and they do want to help make this work. And in fact, there are some that right now just recently have called to say, okay, let's look at what we've got going on here. And I have always known that when the right time came, the right people, just like what we were talking about, the intention, the right people would come, the right experience would take place, it would flow, come out, and yes, it would be there to inspire those to say, I needed this, I can get through the next moment. Because anybody that questions, oh yeah, you had it easy, you're here, look at, you know, your hair grew back, on and on and on. Let me tell you this, my oncologist told me that I won the trophy for getting the most side effects of any of his patients. And my side effects would take most grown people down. They were, to get through 1 minute was much more than many times I could even think of doing. A second was difficult. 1 minute was too much for me to think about, so I did it. and so there are those people out there that are saying, oh yeah, but yeah, I understand, and I'm not going to diminish your experience, because it's your experience and you right now are in the thick of it. And what we can do is inspire through our stories that are not your story, then to help you to get through your story so that your story can be in the next group of stories. And your story will inspire others. And
right.
it will continue.
That's the reason I suggest it. The
Yeah,
reason
absolutely.
I do what I do is because I kept running into women who were in the same place as I was. They had a doctor who didn't understand what was wrong with them. They were being told silly things like seek therapy. I was running into them at the grocery store and everywhere in town, at the Chamber of Commerce. And I decided I always knew that I could find my answers.
Yeah.
I always knew that. But I had a mother with a really rare disease that I did so much research, I knew more than her doctor, who was supposedly the Southern California expert. It's this weird disease called multiple system atrophy. If I could find stuff on her, I knew I could find stuff for me. So that I never doubted, but most people don't start there. So I decided I wanted to share what I had learned because it could help people.
Right. And I love you so much because you are of the same heart that I am. And we have shared that before, and I know that. And that's why, you know, I absolutely, anything and anytime you ever need me, I'm absolutely here for you because you are sharing. And I remember having this discussion in the very beginning. It was like, anything I know, everything I know, I am sharing. I'm holding nothing back because people need to know. And I don't know if you guys know this. I do. This woman is an amazing businesswoman that didn't have to be doing this. And she made conscious choices because of the fact that the passion was so there to share this message, that she made huge changes to be able to go out and give this
nothing
out.
About my life that's the same today that was waking up in horrific pain and autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
Different man, different business, different everything. Yeah. But one of the best things that ever happened to me was getting autoimmune disease. I said that at a conference and all the women in the circle gasped.
Yeah.
Why is my life so much better? Because I refuse to let it stop me.
Right.
And that's the main message that I want to get across. And I was lucky. I mean, I was in a relationship that he woke up and said, I don't like it that you're sick. Becky, what am I supposed to do with you? It was very hard on my heart, but he went out the door. And I looked for somebody who wanted to go on a get well journey with me, and the universe brought him in my life. Amazing. And he lived 10 minutes away from me, which was, and I found him online.
I love that. That's a great story.
So yeah, I took a class from a woman named Allison Armstrong. She said, Cheryl, there's 2 million men out there for you. Write down what your non-negotiables are, and then go out there and write them down and pull them in. And it took 3 days. So, you know, people need to hear that.
Yes.
It's not a death sentence to get cancer or to get autoimmune disease.
No.
If you approach it with the you can do anything attitude.
Absolutely.
Guess what? You can do anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Without a doubt. And being authentic in, you know, and I will tell you, we have some buddies that have come that, you know, there's a few of them that in the very beginning, they were doubting Debbie's, you know, or, you know, and maybe left and came back and left and came back. And each time they came back, there was a less of a doubt. And now some are like up front and center, you know, because they got through it. They had to work through their stuff. So whatever you show up to, you know, when cancer or autoimmune, whatever it may be, the opportunity, and I see my life calling as an opportunity also.
Yep.
That opportunity of showing up and you know, it came to who I was, and who I was, in truth, a lot of who I am now, yes, is still who I was then, but there's a lot of growth that's taken place, and I would never change it. Never change it.
Yeah, no.
No, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't go back.
No, a lot of it has been a gift. And
Yeah,
look at how many
absolutely.
lives you've been able to touch and how rewarding that is.
Oh, I'm the one that feels like it's been a gift. You know, I'm the one that each one of those stories that it's like I'm humbled by it and grateful for it, and just grateful that I was a portion of what that story is. And yes, there are so many, and we've only just begun. We've only just begun. You know, and that's the thing that is the most exciting about it all. It's incredible.
Well, and I hate to say it, with all of the toxins that are in our life, we're not going to see cancer not be a disease in our lifetime.
You know, and this is where I have to be careful, you know, with it, because again, we don't talk about solutions or treatment, and yet you're right. The challenge of sickness, and then my hope is that generationally, like in my situation, the generational, you know, maybe it wasn't that it was ourselves, but whatever generationally, emotionally, whatever was not discovered and healed, that we start to see healing of those things because of the opportunities for people to learn.
Well, the one statistic that supports that is millennials are buying more organic food than any other age group.
Oh yeah, and
that gives me hope, because they get it.
Yeah, and
they see it in their grandparents and their parents, and they don't want to go there.
Right. And my kids are millennials, and they are those that, well, all but no, like those, yeah, no, those kids are in that group. That it's some others in my house that are eating the, you know, and that's a whole different generation thing going on. So wink wink, that's going on there. Yet when you think about the younger generation and them seeing, they're adamant on certain things, and I have to say I'm very proud of those. I have 4 kids, and I'm very proud of them, and just very proud. And you know, and that's what gives us hope. You know, when we can see that. I mean, you know, I don't talk a lot about my personal family a lot, and part of that will come out in a story in a book, because my second marriage was very abusive, and I had to go underground, and I didn't even know what social media was for the longest time. I couldn't even be found in traditional ways, let alone I didn't put myself, nor would I let my younger children at that time be put anywhere out there, because we were underground. And not until they were all over 18, and I still don't use names, I don't post pictures, nor will you see that happening, because of,
and that's probably very wise,
because of some of this. But you know, when I was called to this, that's why I didn't know what a hashtag was, because I literally wasn't doing social media. And some will say, well, yeah, breast cancer, that makes sense now, you know, and yeah, it does. There's stories there. I agree. Whole another discussion. And so, you know, to be talking about how proud I am of them. They've been through a lot, and they have learned to make some really solid choices. in it. And so, you know, and that's what gives me also the same hope that you were explaining and feeling for the millennials and those that are being raised from our millennials, and, you know, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. There's so much hope in my mind, so much hope. And yes, the toxins, and yes, yet that's where a program like this, that if someone, this is where this is going, mark my words, anywhere in the world, someday, anybody hears that they've been affected by cancer, either themselves or someone they love, the next thing someone will say is, get a buddy. And they may be in an area where they may not have clean water, but most people have one of these, and that's how they'll be able to find us. And it's not there quite yet, but we are in a lot of places, and
but it's growing
there. Yes, and mark my words, we will be known someday as the Buddies. Yes, we have a formal name, but anybody says the Buddies, they're going to know what they're talking about.
Right, yeah. Right. Yeah. The work you are doing is really so fantastic and so needed. I admire you a lot.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm delighted that we had this opportunity. So tell people, where can they find you? How do they get a hold of a buddy if they need one? How do they join your Facebook community? How do they get connected?
It's really simple. Facebook right now is really the best place. However, you can join us on our beta site, which is becoming the website. And the way you find us is Chemo Buddies, the number 4, Life on Facebook. You go there, and it's a public page, and then you can go to the community by going to groups, and then you see Chemo Buddies for Life Community and ask to join. It's that simple. Then on the website, you go to C like cat, B like boy, the number 4, L like Larry, .org. So it's only 4 digits. Chemo Buddies.
And I'll put all of this in the show notes so that if anybody didn't write it down, they can find it.
It's that simple. And then I'm Tamara L. Hunter. I just started a public page because my profile is always too many people. So I just started a public page. You can find me there. And then I have the Service Hero Show, of which you are a service hero. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And you can go and you can messenger me there. It's Tamara L. Hunter Service Heroes, and you can go and messenger. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all over on that platform. So
I hope you'll all follow her. And if you have any friends with cancer, you all follow her, because they need her and they need her organization. So fabulous. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. You have such an inspiring story, and I want people to know that there's hope no matter which one of these crazy things you get. There is hope and there is support out there for you, and don't forget it.
Oh yeah. All things are possible. All things are possible. We're seeing it every day.
For sure.
All things are possible. Remember that.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Cheryl.
Thank you.